Hey guys, welcome to Frank Talk. I am super excited to be here. Thank you for joining me. Okay, so the first show is a bit of a disclaimer. I am what you would call a progressive. However, regardless of how I choose to label myself, please understand something that I feel is integral to fully comprehending my point of view concerning labels. And it's just that. Labels are labels. Okay, as far as I'm concerned, a label is a word we use to help describe a concept. And concepts, in and of themselves, are not absolute truths. They're ideas we utilize in an attempt to describe our shared experiences. Labels work wonderfully as guideposts, yet are extremely limited in their ability to accurately depict the human condition. For example, I may label myself a progressive because, well, most of my positions concerning politics tend to lean that way, and so the label provides a point of reference. However, concerning my daughter, man, I'm about as conservative as you can get. Okay, just thinking about her on a first date prompted me to get better acquainted with my Second Amendment rights. Okay, and that's no joke. So I guess what I'm trying to say is this. Within the mind of every progressive lies a bit of conservatism, and within the hearts of every conservative, I'm sure you'll find some progressive hopes for a better tomorrow. Truth be told, we have more in common with each other than anyone speaking down to us from some podium. Okay, so now that you have a better understanding of my position concerning labels, let's go beyond the labels and let's discuss what it means to be a progressive-minded individual. The central progressive message, as I've come to understand it, is one of fairness and equality. From Theodore and Franklin Roosevelt to Dr. Martin Luther King and now Bernie Sanders, progressives seek to ensure that everyone gets a fair shot, that everyone does his or her fair share, and that everybody plays by the same rules. By fair shot, we mean that everyone deserves a decent, fulfilling, and economically secure life. And we're not talking about free handouts here. No, far from it. We believe wholeheartedly that everyone should do his or her fair share in order to build this life through education, hard work, and active participation in one's community. And when progressives talk about playing by the same set of rules, we mean simply that there should be no special privileges for the rich or well-connected. Progressive thinking, according to the American Values Project, which is a cross-section of leaders from think tanks and other progressive groups, breaks down the four pillars of progressive thought into four precepts. Let's start with the first, freedom. In terms of our political foundations, the most basic progressive value is freedom. The concept of freedom, like most concepts, can mean different things to different people, so here's how progressives look at it. We have a two-part definition of freedom, freedom from and freedom to. First, we believe that all people should be free from unnecessary interference by government in carrying out their private affairs and personal beliefs. This includes freedom of speech, association, and religion, as well as the freedom to make decisions regarding our bodies and personal lives. Second, we believe that all people should have the freedom to lead a fulfilling life supported by the basic foundations of both economic and physical security. This includes physical protections against bodily harm, as well as adequate income, economic protections, healthcare and education, and other social provisions, such as policing, sanitation, and infrastructure, and that's just to name a few. The second pillar is opportunity. Our commitment to human freedom is precipitated by opportunity. Like freedom, the concept of opportunity has two components. The first is political equality, while the other is on economic and social arrangements that enhance our lives. Let's start with the first, political equality. We feel political equality should, by default, prohibit discrimination against anyone based on race, gender, ethnicity, sexual orientation or identification, religious beliefs or non-beliefs, or disability. It also means ensuring that all people have the chance to turn their talents and ambitions into a meaningful and productive life, regardless of economic status or racial heritage. The second component of opportunity involves the conditions necessary for people to be secure enough to move ahead in life. Healthcare, education, a job paying a living wage, workers' rights, and a secure retirement are all fundamental in creating these conditions, not to mention human rights that are inalienable thanks to our Constitution. The third pillar of progressive thought is responsibility. With great freedom and opportunity comes great responsibility, and once again, we separate the idea of responsibility into two components. The first being personal responsibility, the second is our responsibility to one another and to the common good. Personal responsibility requires each of us to do our part in improving our own lives through working hard, educating ourselves, and living as honestly and openly as possible. Responsibility to others and to the common good requires a commitment to putting the public interest above the interests of a few, and an understanding that strong families and communities are at the very foundation of a productive and positively oriented society. It means working to achieve higher social standards and economic conditions that will benefit not only us as individuals, but the community at large. As you can see, this demands open and transparent governance, not to mention an engaged populace. The final pillar of progressive thought is cooperation, rounding out our aforementioned political values, which are directed at the rights, opportunities, and duties of all individuals, is the value of cooperation. Cooperation is the foundation of our most important social institutions, including our families, communities, and our civic and faith groups. Freedom without cooperation leads to a divided society that cannot work together to achieve common goals and improve the lives of all. Cooperation requires that we try to be open-minded and empathetic towards others, and that we are accountable for their well-being as they are accountable to us. Progressives believe that if we blindly pursue our own needs and ignore those of others, our society will degenerate. We value human interdependence on a larger scale and accept the importance of looking beyond our own needs to help others while seeking to find global solutions to global problems. Now that you guys know about the 4 pillars of progressive thought, I'd like to take some time to share some final thoughts on what I feel it means to be a progressive. To me, being progressive is more than just adhering to some ideology. It's more than a way of life or even a way of thinking. It's a way of being. It's an inescapable fact of our existence that transcends party lines and gets right to the heart of what it means to be human. Contrary to what you hear coming from the religious right, progressives value life above all else. Our value of human life does not end after the birth of a human being, however. It's where it continues and intensifies. We look upon all people as being intrinsically connected and inherently valuable to the human experience. To a progressive, there is no them. There's only us. However, don't misunderstand our pluralist worldview as naivety. Like any other force on earth, when pushed, we push back. But as opposed to reacting, we respond. And make no mistake, there is a difference. When faced with an emergency, we call the first responders, not the first reactors. Responding as opposed to reacting takes a level of restraint and discipline which is necessary anytime threat assessment is part of the equation. As progressives, we are responders first and foremost, and as such almost always end up on the right side of history. Being a progressive is not about being right, however, it's about doing what's right, especially now during a time of anti-constitutional populism and the literal degradation of everything that it means to be an American, especially now. And that's some frank talk. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.